My name is Iyke Osoka. I'm a filmmaker, a writer, director, and producer. And it's such a privilege to share, my journey with everybody that is watching me right now. So, I studied theater arts in the University of Calabar for 4 years. And, the thing about Nigerian universities is that, I don't know how it is now, but as at the time I went to school, you don't get practical knowledge of that course or that skill you're trying to learn. By the time you leave school and go to the real world, you realize that you have to unlearn and relearn so many things. And that was my case, obviously. Leaving theater arts in Calabar and coming to Ibadan, first of all, for my NYSC, I had to, start to learn how to write script for screen. So leaving, Calabar where I schooled down to Ibadan first for my NYSC, I had to ask myself, okay, how, you know, how do I survive in the industry? I realized I knew nothing about what I needed, to excel in the film industry. And so what did I do? I was serving in Leeds City University at the time as a personal assistant to the head of department of performing arts. And so after work every day, I would sit down with the system, the office system, and start learning how to write a screenplay from the scratch. Nothing that we were taught in school was useful to me again. So I had to sit down, look at the formatting of a screenplay, try to start developing stories, just writing for writing's sake. And I wrote a couple of scripts. Sometimes I would go home late in the night just to learn how to write a script. And so haven't done that for a while. I had to start volunteering my stories and my scripts to people that needed stories free of charge, basically, to my church for their church drama, or they want to shoot something for screen, or I have friends that are doing short films, and I'll just say, "Oh, I have a script. Would you like to use it?" And I think that's something that people should learn. There's a stage where you have to volunteer your skills for nothing. There's always that stage for everybody, and that was the stage I was at the time. And before you know it, some people started calling me to write stories for them, to write scripts for them. I was basically, within between 2015 and 2018, I was basically writing scripts. Sometimes I would get paid, sometimes to be to be pro bono, and the journey continued from there. So it was in the course of writing all these scripts free for people that somebody recommended me for a job in Lagos to work for an online TV where I was going to be an in-house writer. And that was my first move to the industry, kind of. When I got to that TV station, I was writing. I wrote and wrote. I don't think I want to go back to those kind of days. I wrote pages upon pages, suffered with no house in Lagos. I was sleeping in the office. I wrote so many scripts for them, for web series, for their movies, and I was just earning 50,000 naira a month, which was basically nothing in quotes to survive on. But I kept pushing and pushing until I started getting. So when they started producing this work, I started posting. I started getting other jobs outside this company, and I told myself, man, I have to move. I can't just keep being here. So I resigned and started being a freelance writer. So throughout 2019, I kept on with my freelance writing, and late 2019, I decided to pivot into production. One thing that I've learned in my journey is that you shouldn't stay on the same spot, and there's always more, in you. When you do something for a while, you need to ask yourself, how can I upscale? And that's what I did. I went to go and learn how to be a producer. Went for courses, volunteered in productions as production manager. Started learning the ropes of producing behind the scenes, and started getting jobs as a production manager, production coordinator, and stuff like that. And the journey started making sense to an extent. I pushed writing to the background because writers really don't earn, so much money in our industry at the moment, and so I couldn't survive on that. I mean, thought about it. Look, I'm getting older. I need to get married very soon. I don't know if this writing can do it really. So I had to start being a producer. With that, I started getting more opportunities, meeting more people, and that brought me into producing. Then there was a shift in 2021 when I moved to go to a proper film school. That was Ebony Life Creative Academy in 2021. Haven't done so many things in the past. That decision to go to school, to a film school, to learn producing was like a game changer for me, because I it put my feet in the industry. I got to meet people that are really, 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 higher than me in the industry. Of course, everybody knows that Ebony Life is one of the biggest media houses to collaborate with, and so I got affiliated with them through that school. Met people that are doing big stuff in the industry, and because of I shot a film that same year, sponsored by the academy, and the film went on to win so many awards, and I got recommended to be on my first ever Netflix job, Netflix funded job, in Nigeria, and that was Far From Home in 2021, and that was like a big game changer for me, because it's it stamped my feet as an actual filmmaker. I was able to boost my CV, meet people that will further recommend me for other bigger things. And one of the things that stands out for me in my journey is that the more you stretch, the more you stretch, the more you expand. There's a saying that says that when you stretch, you will never go back to the same size, and that's what usually happens. When you decide to go an extra mile, you will never return to the size you were before, and that has been the story of my journey so far. And so from that moment of producing, I got into that Netflix production. I told myself, you know what, I can actually start directing stuff, because fundamentally I'm a writer director, and so from the journey of being a writer in 2022, I decided that I'm going to be known as Iyke, the movie director. And so I decided to go back to school to learn movie directing. I knew about it before, but I needed to get fundamental theoretical and practical knowledge about directing, and that was it for me. And after I did that course, from then I've been making films, directing my own stuff, writing and directing my own stuff, both for stage and for screen. And now I have directing credits on different platforms right now. And I think that the journey is just starting for me. I mean, the globe is the goal, really, and I see myself in the next couple of years like calling the shots in the creative industry in this continent. And I know that I still need to stretch more. In the course of my between 2022 and 2025 right now, I've gotten to collaborate with so many people, big producers in Nollywood. I've been in the same room with people that I've been in that DM begging for opportunities in the past years. And that goes to say that most of the people that you are begging for opportunities in their DM right now, is when you have to become a certain kind of creative person. You have to get to a level for you to attract those kind of people into your space, and that is what happened. By the time I grew to become a director and I started to create my own stuff, God, specifically brought those people my way. And today I can say that I'm right in the middle of the industry, and it can only get better from here. I'm so positive about that. Earlier in this conversation, I talked about the fact that at some point in my journey, the beginning part of my journey, I was doing things for free just to get recognized. And I realized that there are three phases in a man's industry journey. You do things for free to get recognized. Then when you get recognized, you start charging your worth. That's the stage I'm in now, charging the worth of my value. And then in the days to come, when you are very well established, you start to do things for free again, to give back. And that's also the image I have of myself in the years to come, where I would use my own funding to stage big stage dramas that will be life-changing and that will be free ticketed. But that's not now, that's later. Just to give back from all that the people God has used people to bless me with. And I see the Nigerian industry as taking a new position in the next couple of years, there'll be new platforms for us to exhibit our films, and I'm trying to position myself right now, at the forefront of that movement. And yeah, I have films on YouTube now, that people can see, and we are trusting God to move to bigger platforms like the Netflix, like the Prime, and which is just around the corner, and everybody will hear of it soon. So it's such an exciting thing to be able to use my skill and my value, to touch lives. People in their homes see them and watch my content and send me videos. I feel so fulfilled. It's something that we have dreamed of years before now, and we are here today living the dream. Yeah. So I just want to encourage everybody out there, anybody that's watching this, to let you know that, first of all, find out if you're on the right path. Ask God, check your heart very well that you are fulfilled in what you're doing. Then look for people that have gone that path and see how they journeyed. Then when you are comfortable in your journey, stick to it and be consistent. There is no way the reward will not come.